let us all do we can to build a better future. What is going on?
Yeah, so we didn't really get to cover this story while we were out because things were not in the best shape back then. But now we are, and I really wanted to cover this story. If you haven't heard about it, even better. It's sort of funny and also shows that the entire concept of unity that the Democrats push is an abject lie. They will take everything, including the furniture, to try and stop you from doing what they said that they would never do to you. So let's talk about it. So the entire Nevada Democratic Party quit, emptied the bank accounts after DSA fairly won every election. Everything. They swept all of Nevada. By the way, good infrastructure in Nevada allowed them to do this. That's why the infrastructure is so important. Let's talk about what happened. Not long after Judith Whitmer won her election on Saturday to become the chair of the Nevada Democratic Party, she got an email from the executive director, Alana Mounce. I think I'm just going to pronounce Mouse. The message from Mouse began with a note of congratulations before getting to her main point. She was quitting, so was every other employee, and so were all the consultants, and the staff would be taking severance checks with them. That's really nice of them. Thank you very much. On March 8th, a coalition of progressive candidates backed by a local chapter of DSA took over the leadership of the Nevada Democratic Party, sweeping all 5 leadership positions. I think that I'm just going to say right now, this seems to be effective based on the result of them freaking out. Whitmer, who had been the chair of the Clark County Democratic Party, was elected chair. The establishment had prepared for the loss, having recently moved $450,000 out of the party's coffers. That sounds very unity, passing the torch. Into this Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee's account, the DSCC will put the money towards the 2020 re-election bid of Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, a vulnerable first-term Democrat. I do hope that DSA is able to field a primary challenger against her, so all that money basically goes to waste. I can't. It's just the pettiness never ceases to amaze, does it? While Whitmer's opponent said she was planning to fire them anyway, Whitmer denies the claim. Quote, "I've been putting in the work," Whitmer told The Intercept for the latest episode of Deconstructed. What they didn't just expect is that we got better and better at organizing and out-organized them at every turn. So the article goes on and talks a little more about this. I would say go check this out. It's in the show notes. But this is just extra pathetic. This is purely like, this is like, mwah. Like if you were to say if the Democrats were being just super babyish when they lost an election, what would they do? They'd tear every asset out of their after their accounting journal. They would all quit, and it's the history thing. And that's exactly what they did. They quit, they left, they ran away. They took basically everything that wasn't nailed down. They gave themselves severance checks. When's the last time you've heard the Democrats en masse giving people severance checks? They took money. They just stole the money. They just stole money out of this account because now they're not in charge of it, so no one can be in charge of it. That's exactly what they are talking about. So when Democrats, the next time someone tries to guilt you into voting blue, no matter who, put them on this story. This is what happens when the Democrats lose. When you lose, they expect you to give up everything. Give them your phone number list, give them your email list. We remember that happening, and it turns out they may have gotten it anyway. Give us your money, give us your people. Actually, don't give us your people. We don't want your people. That's exactly what Joe Biden did. Didn't pick any single person from the Bernie Sanders campaign. But we want all your assets. Give them to us. It is your duty to unify with us. But again, tables turn. You win against them. All of a sudden, empty the accounts. Everyone leave. We do not want to work here. Now, the irony is that DSA has clearly shown that they have the power to maintain this power by winning so objectively powerfully. So we'll see what DSA does. $500,000 roughly. It's $450,000. $500,000 is a lot of money. Not a ton in a political campaign for a Senate. So, okay, that's a thing that happened. Let's see what DSA does. If they have the infrastructure they seem to have, it's not going to matter.
All right, so here's what I want to say to the Democratic Party. You talked about forming alliances and forming a great coalition and putting aside our differences, but now that the election's over and you guys are stumbling into 2022, how are you going to convince people to vote for you again? I mean, you already gave a middle finger to progressives and independents, and even when progressives and independents win an election, you still don't play fairly because now you basically stole, as Daniel said, stole money out of account.
I just realized, this is a Mork and Gork situation.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. You know, one is brutal but cunning, and the other one's cunning.
Republicans will stab you in the face. Democrats will stab you in the back.
Yep, and you cannot trust the two-party system. If you keep trusting the two-party system, they're going to screw you over. They don't give a damn about you. And to all those that were browbeaten to vote for Biden, I mean, again, here's more evidence to show you that the Democratic Party doesn't care about you. Now, of course, the Republican Party doesn't give a crap about you either, but even when you play by their rules, they don't want you at the club. They don't want you at the table. So DSA, I mean, this is your chance maybe to form a new political party, but you're going to have to get your act together and make it happen because the Democrats took all the money when it's rightfully, if this is a Democratic win, if this is a Democratic chamber, in the state of Nevada, you got to get those resources back as soon as possible.
Yeah. It's like they're gonna make it back. They have the power. That's more important than the money. With power comes money anyway. So with the power to control the Nevada, like this, basically they got the same position and support that Madigan has.
I also want to say something else too. When people, I'm right now seeing in the chat, like, what do you say, John Doe saying, what do you say to the argument that it was too hard emotionally to withhold COVID relief for the minimum wage because people desperately needed the COVID relief? To which I got to say, what relief are we getting? I mean, people are still being evicted from their homes.
And even with the minimum wage, it's a false argument that you say to people if they say, well, what about the minimum wage? It's like, yeah, it would have taken place after the pandemic. It's tiered over 5 years so that in 2025, $15 is worth what $7.25 was when it was first passed. Yeah. So you really just say, we're just trying to keep up with inflation. We're not even asking for a minimum wage.
Yeah. I'll also, again, too, you know, the Democrats made it very clear that they didn't want to support the $15 minimum wage, even though progressives were running on it. So what I got to say to progressives is, you know, your allies don't like you, or your supposed allies don't like you.
That's why you got to take them over.
Why are you trusting them? Why do you think they're your friends?
Don't join their ranks. Take them over. Make a mess. Make it impossible for them to act. It took one Joe Manchin to become president.
Yep.